Good evening, Dartmouth High School winter student athletes and families, and welcome to our winter preseason meeting for student athletes and families presentation. So our virtual presentation ground rules is everyone will be muted during the entire presentation. We'll use the chat area for questions and comments, and questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation. Our athletic department staff here at Dartmouth High School is Director of Athletics, myself, Andrew Crisafulli. Our athletic secretary is Dolores Constelletti. Our athletic trainer is Chelsea Borowski. And our strength and conditioning coach is a program that we have contracted, Infinite Fitness, located in Fall River, Mass. They'll be working with our student athletes during the season, in season, and out of season. So our overarching department goal here at Dartmouth High School is to offer our student athletes a first-class educational athletic experience. And again, that can be viewed in many different ways or many different capacities. One of the things that I really want to focus on is the educational athletic experience. This is not AAU or travel or town league sports. This is high school athletics. There is an educational component to our athletic program. And again, we're hoping to use sports to not only be competitive and teach our kids, student athletes, how to compete, but we also would like to use athletics to teach life lessons of character development. So our department rules can be found in our student athlete handbook on our athletic department website, which we'll discuss in just a moment. But I've highlighted 5 that are quote unquote the big ones. First is daily attendance. It's very important to be in school on a daily basis. Student athletes must attend 3 full class periods in order to be eligible for practice and/or games for that particular day. There are different excused absences that can be found in our athletic handbook in detail. The one thing that I would ask is to be proactive if you're going to look for attendance that's excused, whether it's doctor's appointments or college visits. And if you were to notify us early, we can definitely walk you through the process. Academic eligibility, we have changed our academic standards. For many years, student athletes had to pass 4 classes in order to be eligible. We have created a new eligibility of 5 classes that a student athlete must be passing in order to be eligible. Now, the winter athletic season, there is a report card that will come and pop up in the middle of it, and right around Martin Luther King Day, in which student athletes would have to achieve 5 passing grades in order to continue to play sports during the winter season. Our bona fide team player rule, to summarize that basically is Dartmouth High School is your top priority. Some of you may play in different travel programs in different sports. That rule is in place so that student athletes are not blowing off high school practices and/or games to join the travel teams. So again, we do ask that you put our athletic program and your respective team as your top priority and work around that schedule. Chemical health violation. Chemical health is, student athletes or any students for that matter should not be partaking in alcohol, tobacco, other drugs, vaping, and so on and so forth. There are infractions and penalties associated with a student athlete who does get caught in violating that rule. And then there's a progressive discipline that is followed. And again, it is very detailed in our athletic handbook. And finally, no hazing and bullying. Our coaches have spoken to our student athletes about that. This is not something that is an issue here at Dartmouth High School within our athletic program. But again, hazing and bullying is not accepted at all. If there is if there's a situation where there's hazing and/or bullying going on and we are not aware, please be sure to report it as soon as possible. So our standard here at Dartmouth High School for student athletes, they are held to a high standard. They are expected to be role models in our building. We're expected to be great ambassadors and representatives of our school in town, not only here in town, but when they represent us on the road at road games. And don't do anything to embarrass yourself, your family, and/or your school. All right, so if you were to follow just that last bullet, you'll be able to fulfill our standards for our student athletes. And again, we're expected to be role models. So school communication, we have a website, biggreensports.org. That's the location of our team schedules, in which we'll talk about in just a moment. Arbiter Sport, which is a little sub-bullet. Again, that is something we'll talk about in just a moment. That's the new scheduling program in the state of Massachusetts for athletics. We use email through Aspen. So Aspen emails that are plugged in into that program for your family are emails that we use. We also use the emails that you provide while registering for Family ID. There is a newsletter, Between the Lines, that does go out every 2 months or so. The next version of it will be out within the next 2 weeks. And we do have a Twitter account at Dart Athletics. And if you do have Twitter, I highly encourage you to follow us at that handle. So safety precautions for this winter season. If you have a temperature, a student athlete has a temperature of 100 or higher, and or is experiencing any COVID-19 symptoms, we ask that you stay home. Okay, stay home and please contact your coach to let them know what's going on. We'd rather be safe in keeping individuals who are not feeling well away from the group so the whole group isn't compromised if there is a COVID situation. Any activity, practice, games, meetings, film, changing rooms that are held indoors requires each participant to wear a mask. Okay, that is going to be revisited by the Department of Education in mid-January, but until then, we will follow their protocols. And again, that could change. It may not change, but in mid-January, they'll be revisiting. And please know that wearing the mask appropriately means the mask is over your nose and your mouth. We need to wear masks on buses. We need to bring our own water bottles. We cannot share with our teammates. We'll also be providing water jugs during games with some cups, but we do ask that you bring your own water. It makes it a little bit easier and a lot more accessible for you at the bench. Changing rooms. So our locker rooms are considered changing rooms. They are there for student athletes to change their clothes. We're not going to be storing anything in the locker rooms. But again, we can lock them up during the game, but after the game, we go back down, we take our belongings and we go home with them. And then finally, fans and spectators must wear masks. Again, that is something that has been in play for a long time now. Again, a mid-January revisit could change that, but as of right now, we must wear masks, fans and spectators in our facilities, in all venues indoors. So our gym bags. So last year, we required student athletes to have a gym bag with the following materials in it. This year, we're just recommending, all right? But it is good practice that you have multi-layered face masks, disposables recommended. We ask for 4 to 5 that are in your bag because, again, when you're sweating indoors, those masks do get wet, they become uncomfortable, they start to not stay on your face. It's easy to change them out. Personal bottle of hand sanitizer. Disinfectant wipes for personal use. Again, having disinfectant wipes somewhere in your bag, you can wipe things down if and when you need them. Personal water bottle, like we just mentioned, and if you're using any mouth guard or mouth guards. All right, so what if there's a COVID-19 positive in the program? Okay, so the first thing that we'll do is we'll begin to contact trace. Okay, once that contact tracing has taken place, we will identify close contacts. Those individuals will be identified and contacted personally. Number 3, those close contacts who are vaccinated and exhibiting no symptoms are able to continue to participate without interruption. So again, if an individual is vaccinated and exhibiting no symptoms, they are able to continue to participate without interruption. For those close contacts who are unvaccinated, either they will have a 7-day quarantine or enroll and or participate in our test and stay program that we have here at the high school for a 7-day period. Okay, so that test and stay program is something that we've been doing throughout the fall. That means unvaccinated student athletes, or for that matter, students here at Dartmouth High School, if they are enrolled in the test and stay program, They come in each morning, they take their rapid test. If the test is negative, they're able to participate in an entire school day's worth of activity, whether they're academic or athletic. Okay, for those individuals who are unvaccinated and not in the test and stay, for 7 days, I'm sorry, unvaccinated and no test and stay, they'll have to take a test on day 4, day 5, and day 6 of exposure with a PCR test, and then return to school on day 7. If families refuse the testing, a student athlete cannot return to school for 14 days. So again, these are all protocols that we have here at the school. If you do have any questions on them, I encourage you to speak to our school nurses, or you can call here to the athletic department. But again, vaccinated individuals with no symptoms participate without interruption. Unvaccinated individuals either will have a 7-day quarantine, or if they're enrolled in the test and stay, they will test for 7 straight days. Okay. And finally, the COVID-19 positive student athlete is eligible to return once their quarantine is complete, and they provide a clearance note for participation from their primary care physician. Again, if an individual is COVID-19 positive and they are out for their quarantine, in order for a student athlete to be cleared to return to participate, they need to provide a clearance note from their PCP. So injuries, all injuries should be reported to your respective coach and our athletic trainer, Chelsea Borowski. Okay, I put Chelsea's email address on the slide here. She is fantastic. Coaches communicate very well with Chelsea. Chelsea communicates very well with the coaches. Chelsea's goal is to get student athletes and get them back from injury and on the field as quickly as possible. And she is an asset to not only our athletic program, but to student athletes and families. The one thing that we can't have is no communication. And, we find out days later that student athletes went to a doctor. And now once you go to your doctor, you do need clearance notes to be able to return to activity. And in some cases, Chelsea is able to treat the student athletes initially and see if they're able to recover before they would need to possibly go to a doctor. So conflict resolution. So guidelines for parents and coach communication. All right. And again, it's very important that conflict resolution is dealt with at the lowest level possible. Okay. Things that the athletic director, myself, will not get involved in, okay, is playing time. Will not get involved in game strategies as to what offense or what defense a coach is choosing to run, what their substitute patterns are. Those are all coaching decisions that are made on a daily basis within the program. And again, when student athletes are working in practice towards playing time, there are a lot of different factors that come into play, not only skill level, but attitude, efforts, being a good teammate, and so on and so forth. So I do ask that if you do have questions about playing time and or someone's role, a student athlete's role on the team, or strategies, that's not something that I will get involved in. Okay, but again, it's something that's effective communication resolves most conflicts. So again, please make sure that your communication is good, whether it's a student athlete may be missing a day for a reason, or something going on in a family that the coach needs to know about because the student athlete's not going to be at practice for a day or two, or so on and so forth. And those are just a couple of examples of things that have happened. But again, it's always good to communicate effectively and efficiently, and many of those conflicts never arise because of that. So game expectations, again, masks. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, masks for each individual that's indoors. Fan and spectator behavior. Again, most difficult part of my job is fan and spectator behavior monitoring. All right, I'm going to be very upfront and honest. I expect us here at Dartmouth High School to run a respectful event. Yelling and screaming at officials and starting to really lose your cool per se. Those are things that are not accepted here. Again, this is not travel basketball. This is not town league. It's not a Metro West travel. This is a school. This is a school-sponsored event. So again, if there's fans or spectators that are being disrespectful and are being inappropriate, you'll be asked to leave. If you are asked to leave, you'll have at minimum an additional 1-game suspension. So please do not put yourself in that position. Please do not put myself or any of my staff members in that position, and or a referee or official, because none of us here want to remove anyone from watching the game. But if we have to, we will. Now, please know that our referees in the state of Massachusetts, there are 152 referees that decided not to officiate this winter for a variety of different reasons. So again, the individuals who are assigned to our games are going to, are certified officials. They will call the game to the best of their ability, and we need to respect that. Again, if you can't respect that, then we're going to ask you to leave and we'll remove you from the facility. So admission for the games, it's $5 for adults, $3 for students and senior citizens. We do begin to sell tickets at 5:30 p.m. Now, if you travel to different schools and different venues, the timing of the ticket sales and the cost of the tickets may vary, but this is what we'll do in our own home facility. Okay, and again, rewinding for the fan spectator behavior, that also is for our away games too. Okay, one of the things that we need to do collectively is to represent our town in a very respectful and classy manner. So again, not only the fan and spectator behavior here at Dartmouth High School at a home event, but the same expectation is on the road. All right, and the very final bullets, please stay off the court. The reason why I say that is during the winter time with snow and rock salt and so on and so forth, and different sand, when people do walk across the court, it does leave residue behind that, again, is not good for the court surface, and it's also not good for the players that are playing on that surface. So please make sure that you go around the boundaries of the court when you're maneuvering around the facility. So we do charge a user fee. A user fee is $50 for the season. There are a handful of individuals and families who have paid their winter fee already. If you haven't done so, please make sure you do that as soon as possible. You can visit our website, biggreensports.org, and they do have an area where you can click where you can pay your user fee. All right, so what's new in the state of Massachusetts? We have a new playoff system, which is a statewide tournament. So the days of the sectional tournament, so the South Sectional for Dartmouth High School, those are gone, and it is now a statewide tournament. We are Division II in most sports. There is a power ranking that is attached that not only, not only gives you credit for the success of your team, but it also, when you come to the seeding time, it power ranks teams from top to bottom for seeding, depending on strength of schedule and success in your season. There is a very in-depth formula that is attached to this that can be found on the MIAA website, MIAA.net, that does explain it pretty much in depth of what this is. But again, it's a statewide tournament that is no longer within our section. So the odds of us getting into the tournament and traveling for a first round, those odds, there are odds that are pretty high there where we're traveling a little bit of a distance. Hopefully we'll be playing home games, but again, we need to be prepared for that. We have a new state scheduling program or system called Arbiter Live, which again, if you were to visit our website, biggreensports.org, and you click on team schedules, it will go right to the Arbiter Live site. It has all the information that you would need as far as game times, locations, bus times, so on and so forth. And finally, sway testing. Sway testing has replaced impact testing, which is a tool that's used when trying to determine or diagnose a possible head injury. And the majority of our student athletes have been sway tested to this point. If you have not, please make sure to reach out to us as soon as possible and we'll get you scheduled. All right, so in summary, if you do not feel well, stay home. Okay, this is, again, not the year to really, if you're not feeling well, to really gut it out and try to make it to practice and or a game. because again, the stakes are very high as far as COVID-19. And again, if a person is COVID-19 positive and they are within the program of the group, then that's when contact tracing begins and more individuals compromised. Wear your mask while indoors. Okay, be prepared. Now for student athletes, you should be the one that's getting your equipment bag ready, making sure that you have your uniforms washed and ready to go for games and practice gear. Okay, this is a great opportunity to take ownership in your equipment and your materials that you're going to need for practice. Okay, please don't depend on your parents to do this. We're getting to the age that this is something that we should take on ourselves. So recognized student athletes are held to a higher standard. Please be aware, there's a ton of communication that goes out from our athletic department to emails of families. Please make sure you're checking your email. There's so much information that's put out. There are some times that we do get phone calls about certain situations of questions that were answered in communication that we made, whether it was the newsletter or an email. So again, we try to overshare information so that you have everything that you need, so you are aware. Next one is resolve conflicts at the lowest level possible. Effective communication solves most issues. Next is represent our school and town with class and respect. Okay, student athletes, parents, guardians, spectators, we're all expected to have class and respect here and on the road. Please pay your user fee. And finally, enjoy high school athletics because it will fly by. If you have any questions in the chat, please make sure to list and I will do my best to answer as quickly as possible.